let's talk about something we all think is simple. Changing lanes. I mean, we do it dozens of times on a long drive, right?
Absolutely.
It feels like a quick flick of the wrist, a glance in the mirror, and you're over. But the stack of sources we pulled for this deep dive, well, it reveals a pretty startling fact.
It really does.
Changing lanes is arguably the most deceptively dangerous thing that drivers do every single day.
It truly is. At lower speeds, maybe not so much. But once you introduce highway speeds or dense traffic, that small steering input becomes incredibly high risk.
Right.
Even a slight misjudgment of speed or distance,
Yeah.
or, failing to check that one tiny crucial patch of road that can lead to the most common type of severe collision, the sideswipe.
So our mission today is to cut through the obvious use your blinker advice and really get into the physics and the psychology behind this risk. We're going deep into why we consistently misjudge gaps, what the hidden dangers are in the lanes right next to us, and how we can use a clear, reliable protocol to just drastically minimize that risk.
And we're going to give you that complete checklist. We'll get into the non-negotiable rules for following distance, that famous 3-second rule, and why it's not really a fixed number. It's more of a dynamic tool.
And we'll also touch on technology, right?
Yes. We'll examine how things like lane change assist actually work, and maybe more importantly, why they absolutely cannot replace the human driver.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with that immediate risk zone. The danger isn't just your car. It's the fast, dense traffic moving all around you, constantly threatening to, pop into that gap you need.
Right. We have to stop thinking of the lane next to us as this static, empty space.
We need to start thinking about every possible way a car can surprise us.
The traffic engineers we looked at call these intrusion scenarios. It's a very academic way of saying that threats can come from really unexpected angles.
And I think the biggest insight for me here was realizing a threat isn't just a car speeding up behind you. It's any vehicle whose path unexpectedly intersects with yours. What's the most surprising of these threats?
Well, what's fascinating here is the danger that comes from the side, specifically from crossing vehicles.
From the side.
Yeah, think about a 2-lane road. You're planning to move left, but a vehicle on the opposite side of the road suddenly decides to turn left to cross traffic. They cut right into the lane you were just about to move into.
And you'd never see it coming if you're only checking your rearview mirror.
Exactly. We get so focused on our rear view, we forget about those unexpected side entries.
That makes perfect sense. We're focused on the parallel path, and we just forget the perpendicular ones. And then there are the other intrusion scenarios from the same side of the road.
Right. Even when everyone is theoretically going the same way, you have cars constantly entering and exiting the roadway.
Pulling out of driveways, merge lanes.
Or suddenly deciding to turn into a shopping center.
Yeah.
If you've already committed to your lane change and someone from a side street pulls into your target lane a moment before you do, you have zero time to react.
Yeah. And then there's the aggressive move, the one that makes everyone on the freeway just furious. You know that moment where someone dives in front of you at the last second?
Oh, yeah. The sources give that a name. It's the cut.
The cut.
And it's so interesting because it's usually driven by impatience. And it comes in 2 forms. Both are just disastrous for traffic flow.
What's the first one?
The first is when a vehicle in front of you slows down to try and force its way out of your lane, which often causes you to brake suddenly.
Okay.
The second, and I think more common one, is when a driver forces their way into your lane without leaving an adequate gap. They literally cut you off.
So given all of this, all these risks, crossing traffic, side entries, aggressive cutters, what is the single non-negotiable rule that the sources all hammer home?
It's the ultimate safety net. Because traffic is so dynamic, conditions change every single second.
So that check you did a moment ago is already out of date.
Exactly. You must never assume the lane is clear. Your final action, just before you turn the wheel, must always be that last second over-the-shoulder check.
Always.
If you saw a clear space 3 seconds ago, a fast car, a motorcycle, could have easily moved into that zone since.
That double-checking moment is where preparation meets reality.
Okay, let's shift from those immediate collision threats to the systemic danger caused by bad habits.
You're talking about lane hopping.
Exactly. Lane hopping. This is where aggressive, unnecessary lane changes just snowball into far greater problems.
Lane hopping.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the poster child for aggressive driving. The system we reviewed outlines this clear cascade of, I think it was 6 major negative outcomes. You might think you're saving time, but you are just accumulating risk exponentially.
Walk us through the personal risk first. I mean, it seems obvious that increased accident risk is number one, but why is lane hopping specifically worse than just, say, driving fast?
Because you are introducing instability into the whole system. Every sudden change you make catches other drivers off guard. Now they have to react to your
You
impatience.
create more blind spot problems, right? You drastically increase your blind spot issues. When you're constantly weaving, you're spending way more time in other drivers' no man's land, and that raises the odds of a side impact crash dramatically.
It also just feels like it defeats its own purpose. You're making traffic worse for everyone, including yourself.
It absolutely does. It disrupts traffic flow big time. Every time you cut someone off and force them to tap their brakes, you create a ripple effect backward. You're often contributing directly to the traffic jam you are trying to escape.
And that erratic behavior, I imagine, fuels a lot of anger.
Oh, for sure. It fuels aggressive driving and road rage. The driver you just cut off is now frustrated, and that frustration can dangerously escalate tensions on the road.
So, on a practical level, you're trading any sense of control for maybe a tiny, tiny gain in speed.
Exactly. You sacrifice your reaction time. If you're constantly moving into these tiny gaps, you have much less time to respond if the car ahead stops suddenly or if there's debris on the road. You've cut your buffer down to almost nothing.
And finally, there's the financial and legal pain. It's not just about the crash risk.
Not at all. Constantly accelerating and braking is, well, it's highly fuel inefficient, and it increases wear and tear on your car. But more critically, that kind of erratic driving can easily be called reckless driving by law enforcement.
Which leads to serious legal and financial consequences.
Fines, penalties, points on your license,
Oh.
which means your insurance costs are going to go up. It's just unsustainable driving, really, from any angle you look at it.
Okay, so if lane hopping is the symptom of bad habits, we need the cure. Let's shift into the safe lane change protocol. The comprehensive checklist that, if you follow it, minimizes risk every single time.
Right. And this mandated sequence, and I mean mandated by common sense and safety training, is based on simple sequential logic. It starts before you even think about turning the wheel.
Where's the first step?
Step one, check traffic ahead and behind. You need to look far down the road in both your current lane and the one you want to move into. You're looking for obstacles, sudden stops. You need stable conditions.
Then comes the check for clearance. We all know about mirrors, but what's the crucial part that people skip?
It's the two-step visibility check. So you use your side mirrors and your rear view mirror, yes. But you must follow that up by physically turning your head and looking over your shoulder.
The shoulder check.
That physical shoulder check is the only way to eliminate the blind spot, where a motorcycle or small car can just perfectly hide.
Okay, so you've confirmed it's clear. What's the immediate, mandatory next step?
Signal your intentions. This is not optional. Use your turn signal well in advance. Then, while you're signaling, you assess the gap.
Right.
Look at the space you want to enter. Is it big enough for you to move in without forcing anyone else to adjust their speed? If the answer is no, you just wait.
And if the gap is good, how do we make that transition seamless?
Before you steer, you match speed. You adjust your acceleration so that when you enter the new lane, you're already moving at the same speed as that lane's traffic.
No surprises.
No surprises. Only then do you execute the smooth transition and then cancel your signal. It should be gradual. No abrupt movements.
So we've established how to do it. Let's talk about when we absolutely should not. Where is visibility just too compromised?
The high-risk areas are pretty clear. You want to avoid changing lanes in or near intersections because of all the conflicting turning traffic.
Okay.
Avoid curves and hills because you lose the ability to see far ahead or behind you. And critically, always respect designated no passing zones. Visibility is the key. If you can't see, don't move.
Now let's get into the most crucial distance metric we have, the 3-second rule. This is where we go from, general advice to measurable safety.
The 3-second rule is your foundation. The way you apply it is you find a fixed object like a bridge or a sign, and when the car in front of you passes it, you start counting 1001, 1002, 1003.
And if you reach the object before you're done counting, you're too close.
You're too close. But that's just the baseline. And this is the aha moment that separates the good drivers from the expert ones.
That 3-second gap has to change. It's dynamic.
Exactly. It's the minimum for speeds over 40 mph under ideal conditions. But you have to adapt. On the highway, where speeds are higher, you should aim for a 4-second minimum.
And what about near big trucks?
If you're near large, heavy vehicles, you have to remember they have much longer stopping distances. So you need to give them and yourself an even bigger buffer.
And the most important adjustment of all, the one that could literally save your life in bad conditions.
The weather rule. When you're in adverse weather, rain, fog, snow, the friction between your tires and the road is compromised.
Just have to.
You have to double the normal following distance. If your normal buffer is 4 seconds on the highway, a sudden downpour means you need to expand that to 8 seconds. That extra space is the only thing protecting you from hydroplaning.
I wonder how many drivers really do that. When you hit a sudden shower, it requires such a conscious, immediate action, which is hard when you're used to just driving by habit.
It demands total focus. And for people who prefer a more visual metric, the general guideline is about 1 car length for every 10 miles per hour of speed,
So 60 mile per hour means 6 car lengths.
roughly. It's a helpful visual, but the 3-second count is always more accurate.
That clarity helps so much. Okay, if avoiding impatience is half the battle, the other half has to be clear communication. Let's talk about the single most important tool you have for that, the signal.
Signaling is foundational. First, it's a legal requirement. Failing to signal is just an invitation for a ticket. But, beyond the law, it's about safety for everyone else.
How does that little blinking light really change the whole driving environment?
It eliminates uncertainty. It communicates your intent not just to the car behind you, but to cars 3 lanes over, to pedestrians, to cyclists. It gives everyone around you time to adjust.
It promotes defensive driving.
Defensive, courteous, and ultimately much smoother driving for everyone.
And the sources were very specific on when we need to hit that signal.
That's the detail that gets missed. You have to signal well in advance. In urban areas, that means at least 100 feet before you move. On the highway, where speeds are much higher, you need to signal 200 to 300 feet beforehand.
Give people time to see it, register it, and react.
Exactly.
Okay, now for the worst case scenario. You followed the protocol, but traffic sped up, and now there's a vehicle right in your blind spot. You're committed, but you can't move. This is active threat management.
This is pure reaction mode. And the first step is, it's a bit counterintuitive, stay calm and avoid sudden movements. Don't yank the wheel or slam on the brakes.
Because that would just startle the other driver.
And create a guaranteed collision. Any sudden aggressive action is the wrong one.
So how do we clear that threat zone when we can't even see the car beside us?
You manage the threat by gradually adjusting your speed. You have to create space. So you gently reduce your speed to let the vehicle in your blind spot pass you completely.
Or speed up if that's safer.
Or, if it's completely safe and possible, you can slightly increase your speed to move ahead of them. The goal is to minimize the time that car is invisible. And, we should also try not to linger in other drivers' blind spots when we're passing them.
This brings us perfectly to technology's role in helping us with that blind spot. Let's introduce Lane Change Assist, or LCA.
LCA is an advanced driver assistance system. It's designed to be your extra set of eyes. It uses radar sensors and sometimes cameras, usually on the rear bumpers and side mirrors.
And what do they do?
They are constantly sweeping the surrounding area, specifically looking for cars that are rapidly approaching from the rear, or just sitting quietly in your blind spot.
So if the system detects a threat, say, that tiny car hidden on your passenger side, what happens?
If you activate your turn signal and the system senses danger, it gives you immediate feedback. It usually starts with a visual warning, like an icon flashing your side mirror.
And then an audible alert.
Usually, yeah, an audible alert. In the most advanced systems, if you actually start to move the wheel despite the warning, it can provide corrective steering, nudging you back into your lane to prevent the collision.
That sounds incredibly capable. What are the specific safety features we should know about in these systems?
They're usually part of a whole suite of features. So you'll have blind spot monitoring, which is on all the time. You'll have rear cross traffic alert for when you're backing up, and often lane departure warning if you drift. They all work together to minimize these risks.
But, and this is a big but, it has to come with the critical reminder that technology is not a replacement.
Absolutely. LCA is an aid. A powerful one for sure, but the driver is still the ultimate safety mechanism. You must still use your mirrors, and you must still do the shoulder check.
Because the tech isn't foolproof.
It isn't. Sensor performance can be impaired by road grime, by snow, even heavy fog. Your brain and your eyes are always the primary defense.
So what does this all mean for us, for the learner who wants to take all this knowledge and become a safer, smoother driver?
It means that safe lane changing is a total skill set. It's about combining that preemptive awareness, using the 3-second rule, signaling early with skillful, real-time threat management, handling blind spots, and just eliminating the chaos of lane hopping.
Consistency and adaptation.
That's the key.
That's a powerful summary. And here's our final provocative thought for you to take out there on the road. The law demands precision. It says, for example, you have to signal 100 feet before a turn. But safety demands dynamic adaptability. We learn that the ideal following gap might start at 4 seconds, but in a sudden downpour, safety requires you to instantly double that time to 8 seconds.
And the real mastery of driving isn't just knowing those legal minimums, but being able to instantly adapt those rules to the constantly changing reality of the road.
Think about that doubling rule. How often when you hit sudden rain or fog on the highway do you truly remember and adhere to that 8-second minimum distance?
It's a tough habit to build.
That gap between knowing the rule and actually executing the adaptive skill, that's where the difference between a good driver and a truly knowledgeable, safe driver lies.
Drive safely out there.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll catch you next time.
Please like, subscribe, and get notified.